Hi, I'm Sailor Venus, and I'm Artemis, and today we're going to talk about, something that I. Okay, okay. Maybe that wasn't what we want to talk about. How I got stuff on my back of my head. Now, alright, so the first thing we want to talk about is what we want to talk about. Oh, yes. Everyone wants to ask us, are we frightened of the Federal Trade Commission? Well, I know those borrowed words. Or the FTC, and yes, we are frightened of them. Now, frightened of the unknown. Frightened that there were folks that were going around saying all kind of things. Folks that were saying, they're going to come in and they're going to be looking behind your back and looking at every film and every fairway there is, made it or not. Well, the truth is they don't have the man or woman's strength to do all that. They never did, they never will. They most likely could only look at a YouTube fairway if a YouTube fairway was somehow someone told them about it. And then they could come in and then look at the fairway or the films and then have a meeting if they thought they had to do an underseeking, and then call the owner or send the owner or the runner. Because on YouTube you don't own the YouTube fairways. That was one of their also mistakes of believing everyone owned their YouTube fairways. YouTube's free, so you don't own the fairway. Hell, I don't even think you even owned a fairway if it wasn't. Anyway, so, yeah. And then have to tell the owner or runner that they were being underseeked. Tell them the grounds of why they were being underseeked, and ask them for either how much income they were making, where they lived, what and what any of their tracks they had, either it was Sally or home track and a bunch of other things. Then do the underseeking, and if they could come up with any truth, then have another meeting to come up with to see if there was any truth behind any wrongdoing. If they could seek any wrongdoing, then they could come up with a fine or a fee that they thought was handicap someone, but wouldn't stop them from either making an income or running a business or whatever it would be. But if they could not if they had the meeting and they could not come up with any truth that anyone was doing wrong, then they just leave them alone. And tell them that they couldn't come up with any underseeking, and then there would be no handicapping given. But the truth is, they are only going to be looking for ones they know they can win on, ones that they know that they could make some truth, that they could get truth that someone was doing wrong. They wouldn't go after anyone that wasn't a YouTube mate, like we're not. So there wouldn't be no income that could be handicapped away for wrongdoing. So most likely, no. You're right, Sailor Venus, but it doesn't mean to say we're still not frightened of the whole thing. And everyone would think, how could everyone on YouTube be held answerable for the mishap that the Webstead was doing? I don't know. You ask the FTC and YouTube how they came up with that. because I don't know. All I know is that there's a lot of folks that are still going around, telling sagas and tales about it. Now, of course, what some folks are saying, that's only one team. And these teams are only in for 7 years. And then a new team is then, picked for another 7 years. So you might have one team that doesn't do nothing for 7 years, and another team that comes in and just does, another team that comes in and actually starts doing what the other team said they would not do. But even then, the other team would have to the other team would have to follow all the same things that the other team before them followed if they, But yeah, it is true about them shifting out the teams after 7 years, but even the new team would have to follow the same oversight or that about how they would handle underseeking and all that other stuff, And of course, a lot of folks have wrote words on their website about how this oversight would work, and things, and I'm sure they're reading up on it, and they're going to come up with a way that everyone could follow it, and everyone would know what to do and not to do, and what handicapping would happen if someone would be seeked wrong of any wrongdoing, which most likely there will be someone out there will be seeked for doing wrong, because there is someone out there who is truly doing wrong, and it's going to be what's going to be. Well, it won't be any of us, though. Well, you're right, Artemis, but some folks might think, oh, you saying you're frightened of them, they might think, oh, you got something to hide. No, it doesn't work like that. Yeah, you can be frightened of a lot of things, and it doesn't mean you did wrong or you have something to hide. My neck. So yeah. So no, making a film talking about being frightened about them isn't telling someone, hey, look at you, hey, do this and do that, because it's not. There are folks every year that are frightened of the IRS seeking wrong with their toll, and it doesn't make the IRS go, oh, okay, let's look at this. Let's look at them because they said they're frightened of us. They might got something to hide. Well, it doesn't work that way. And the same thing with the FTC and every other leadership offshoot. Unless they can find truth, unless someone sends them your fair way to look at, and unless they can actually seek some truth that you were doing wrong, making a film talking about being frightened about them doesn't actually mean you're guilty of any wrongdoing. So if someone believes that, then everyone who's made films talking about this thing would get them in some kind of bind or hang up, and no, it has not. You want to end it, Artemis? Because I don't have any more else to say about it. No? Yeah, well, we need to, since his hand's starting to get, the one's holding us up hand is starting to ache now. It is what it is. I'm Sailor Venus. I'm Artemis. We'll see you later.